All right, everybody, welcome to the very first ever shitty UFC predictions video content. Been doing the piece now for a couple weeks. We decided we're going to do half of it in written form, which you can catch on the bodylockmma.com, and the other half I'm going to go ahead and do a video and bring on an analyst to go ahead and make their picks and explain why I'm wrong or something of that nature. So I thought no better person to join us for episode number 1 than my old MMA sucker buddy. You know him now as the co-owner of the fight site. He does wrestling analysis on Bloody Elbow, big timer. Ed Gallo. Ed, how are you doing?
I'm very great and successful and famous and rich now, so life's pretty good. But yeah, no, we were talking about it when we started. It's been a long time since the MMA sucker days, but that was our start. And it was funny, like you talk about like, oh yeah, you start somewhere and you build your way up, and we're like, this isn't going anywhere. But we're both doing really good, and I think the Body Lock's a really awesome website, and I've been following that content for a while. And one of my writers and kind of like one of the editors for the fight site, Sriram, still writes for the Body Lock, and so it speaks to the quality. So I think we're both doing pretty good, and I'm happy these days.
Yeah, no, definitely. We started from the bottom. Now we're here. So no better way to kick it off on this inaugural episode. So what I'm going to do first, we're going to do the top 3 fights on the card here. We're going to start with Khamzat Chimaev versus Gerald Meerschaert, and I'm going to go ahead and change the view. So now we're all serious. Yeah. So now it's like, look, there's an arena of people watching us do this. Clearly, it's not just a background. That's real people all tuning in right now live. So with that in mind, who do you have and why?
I just brought up Sriram. I don't want to betray him. Sriram really likes Gerald Meerschaert because Sriram's attracted to fighters who are technically good, but athletically deficient, or like have something or like hate themselves and want to lose fights, and like Michael Johnson. That's his type. Just tragic heroes. So he obviously likes Gerald Meerschaert because he has a lot of good like open stance tactics, a lot of cool southpaw stuff, and he has a really fun ground game when he's like, that's my dog. Has a lot of fun ground game stuff where like he'll attack the front headlock and tries pretty risky transitions. And again, not athletic enough to pull that off long term, but we respect him for trying to do good stuff and losing all the time. And physically, he's pretty deficient in a lot of ways. And he's been athleted and outpowered and outmuscled several times. Khamzat Chimaev is the opposite of that. He's extremely physical, comes out super hot. People, there could be comparisons coming out because he does ground and pound and is from the Caucasus, which that's as far as people read into it. But he's good. I've watched some of his fights from beforehand in Brave, and he has a lot of cool takedown entries. Likes to change levels off kicks, which is a very difficult thing to do. So you have to be some crazy kind of athlete to do that. And he actually, his stand-up, it's not like he's a void on the feet if he can't get takedowns. He actually has some pretty cool stuff. He trains at All Stars in Sweden, and he'll do a lot of stuff to see like Gus do, where every once in a while he'll like pivot, like slip and pivot off a straight. Like he can do stuff. So I think he's pretty good. People are definitely too high on him right now because it hasn't been proven against elite people, but he's a guy, and he's very dangerous. And I think he is the exact kind of person that Gerald Meerschaert loses to. So I'm going to go ahead and say I'm going to pick Khamzat Chimaev for that.
Okay, go with Chimaev. That's a solid breakdown there. I agree. I think people are a little too high on Chimaev. As he's only been in a couple fights back to back against. Jack Shore is a name from Cage Warriors, but that was pretty short notice too. So it's. Well, we'll see. This will be his first real test. In total agreement there. Now let me break it down for you for why Khamzat Chimaev is going to win, though. So normally, right, I'm all about MMA math. So when I look at Gerald Meerschaert, I see the 2 wins, 2 losses, and then since then alternating wins and losses. Based on that math, he's due for a win. The what I like to call Patrick's alternating win-loss principle. He's due for a win here. So you're good with your initial feeling. But, I noticed on Twitter, he went ahead and called out the fact that, Chimaev's obviously been double booked, which is crazy because he's going to fight Meerschaert and then turn around and fight Damian Maia, which is, just bonkers in terms of, I mean, Maia is older, but still he's got some stuff left in the tank. So it's not an easy turnaround. And Meerschaert's like, no, dude, I promise you, he's leaving the cage hurt. He's not going to make it. Not going to make it to the Maia fight.
Bold.
Yeah, very bold. Very bold. But what he didn't say was in that Twitter statement that he was going to win. He just said he was going to hurt him. So my guess is like Meerschaert goes for a nut shot. He goes for some elbows to cut him up. And Chimaev just like wrestles him. But I think Meerschaert sacrifices the win here just to make sure Chimaev gets damaged, whether that's DQ, probably DQ, probably purposeful DQ, probably watched the fights this past, the Bellator fights this past weekend, saw that, man, I can just kick him in the nuts 3 times and he's not going to fight Maia. So I'm going to go Chimaev by DQ because obviously Meerschaert's, holding a grudge.
Yeah.
It's clear. He feels disrespected. That's what he's going to do. So, all right. So there we go. There we go. All right. First opposing pick. And I'd say pretty equal analyst or analysis, analyst too. That's my new name for analysis is just analyst.
You're doing great.
So, yeah, I know, right? I'm killing it, dude. I'm killing it. Thanks. I appreciate it. Co-main event. We've got Donald Cerrone coming off 4 straight losses, looking to, stave off a 5th straight loss, which would by far be the longest in his career, against Nico Price, the hybrid, who just came off of that crazy bonkers fight, lost to Vicente Luque. Who do you got in this one?
Well, I don't like either of them. Start with that. I don't like Nico Price because he is like a meme fighter. Like he's fairly competent in a lot of areas. He's not like terrible at MMA or anything. He's just like not as good in terms of skill as most people are around where he is in his division, which, you can make up for that with like just insane comic book power that like doesn't even make any sense from like crazy positions. So I can never trust anyone to beat him ever. So I'm just like, is this going to be the time that this person gets meme bonked out of nowhere? And like, it's just in terms of like you having someone on to do actual analysis, I would never do actual analysis on Nico Price because he's unanalyzable. You can't do it. He's an enigma. So
hybrid. I believe he's a hybrid.
Yeah. Looking at his record, I mean, the people he hasn't knocked out are Luque, Abdulrazak Al-Hassan, Jeff Neal, and Luque again. So people who are like way better strikers than him that are like not out of their prime that still have their chins. Luque's chin's crazy. Neal, I think, didn't get hit that much. Razak Al-Hassan, I think he just blitzed him really quickly. So everyone else who like isn't super durable or is old got knocked out. So based on that, it seems like Cowboy should get knocked out. But he has some offensive wrestling because I think his Cowboy's ground game is still probably the best thing he has going for him right now, just because the physical factors are less of an issue once he takes people down. He had a pretty cool takedown on Pettis, like a cool like sweeping, like baseball sliding finish to a single leg, which is not. If you ever talk to Zach Makovsky, he'll tell you that he does not like any finish that has you like leaving your base or like going onto your hip. He doesn't like that. Very risky. But Nico Price isn't much of a wrestler, so I could see Cowboy taking him down and submitting him. Not that Price is like terrible on the ground or anything. I don't know. This feels sneaky. I'm like, yeah, he's old. Nico Price knocks out basically any old person. But I'm gonna betray my instincts and I'm gonna pick Cowboy actually.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Never a bad thing to betray your instincts every once in a while. Just keep yourself on edge. I like that. I like that style. Yeah. I mean, you broke most of it down. Cowboy is become an old man. I love him so, but he's clearly in the twilight of his career here. And I feel like Nico Price is what happens when I made a comparison in the written article of Johnny Walker and the early part of his career was very much, very much a 8-year-old kid who you give a bunch of candy to and then say, hey, here you go. And if you're a composed older kid, you could beat the shit out of him. But otherwise, you're going to get knocked out. I feel like Nico Price is like that, only instead of an 8-year-old kid with a bunch of candy, it's like a 25-year-old with a bunch of cocaine. Like, I feel like he just constantly throws everything, gets rocked, and gets right back up. Just, it's ridiculous. This is a tough one for me. I know Cowboy's sparring again, according to his fight camp videos or whatever. He's sparring regularly there, so that's probably good, because he said the whole point of sparring was so that he could avoid getting hit. So that, that's I
simply won't get hit when I spar, and it won't be an issue.
Right, exactly. Right, and no better person to spar with, and you don't want to get hit, than Carlos Condit too, who was in there a bunch with him. So yeah, I mean, but that being said, I mean, I look at the Pat alternating win-loss principle, and Nico Price fits that to a T right now. I mean, he's knocking people out, he's getting knocked out, he's knocking people out, he's getting knocked out. I think he's due for a knockout. I got to go with the math this time, because he didn't say something stupid like he's gonna hurt somebody but not win. So, so Nico Price is my picks. This is not planned, by the way, that we are going opposing. Just for the viewers up there.
It's fun.
We didn't coordinate this at all. This was very on the fly. So
if we're looking for like a crazy, immature human to compare fighters to, I think Nico Price is like, I like the coked up part, but maybe like a coked up frat boy where he's just like, he can go on a rampage and he's very destructive, and you're like, oh God, watch out.
Yeah. No, and like the only reason I went a little bit higher than a frat boy to like 25-year-old frat boy, right? He's still a frat boy, but he's out of college.
Prime frat boy.
Yeah,
doing that stuff, and it's not okay anymore because you're not in college anymore.
Right, and he's getting like knocked out. Like, yeah, exactly. See, we're on the same wavelength there. We're expert analysts right here. That's what this is. All right. With that in mind, we come to the main event. We got a rivalry that for sure would have been pretty interesting to talk about 2 years ago, and now it's like okay to talk about because it's better than nothing. So, who do you got between Colby Covington and Tyron Woodley? And before I ask you that, have you ever listened to Tyron Woodley's raps?
I've heard "I'll Beat Your Ass." I've heard that song. It's my favorite.
I've heard that one, and I just heard one. I think it's called like "Love and Money" or something that has Wiz Khalifa on it.
Wow.
Yeah. No, it's pretty. It's a good time waster if you need to kill time. That's and there are better time wasters. There are many better time wasters, but it's out there in case you need 4 minutes to kill.
Sure.
But with that in mind, your pick.
Well, there are many, many reasons why I shouldn't pick Tyron Woodley to win fights. I mean, just like as a rule, I can't recall a time I have picked him to win a fight. Basically, ever since he became the modern version of Woodley, like with his style of letting you back me into the fence because I'm going to line you up for this rear hand, which really only works from open stance. Like if you're in closed stance, he's like, oh, you have a jab there, and like things are kind of obscured and it doesn't feel as good. Open stance are really lined up for rear strikes, like kicks to the body and right straights and hooks and stuff like that. So that's like how he got Lawler and how he beat the crap out of Condit a bunch of times. Like if you're lined up there for him, it's pretty good. Darren Till, same thing. Mm-hmm. So that's one thing to consider, is that Colby Covington is a southpaw, I believe, and it's going to be open stance for a while, unless people are switching. But for the majority, he's going to actually have a line for that shot, and he hasn't had it in a bit because I believe Usman and Burns both kept it closed stance and jabbed him to the fence. And I mean, Colby can still jab him to the fence. Like it's not automatically not going to work just because of the stance change up. So that's there. So that's like the one thing that makes me think, maybe he'll actually do it this time, because it's aligned a bit better. But why would I ever trust him to throw punches ever again? I mean, he needs to prove that he can throw punches before I can pick him to punch someone. So no, I'm not picking Tyron Woodley. But Covington's path to victory is just do what he always does, and that should probably work. And I don't think he'll like take him down a bunch right away, but it actually might be one of the least effective performances from Covington in terms of like what he actually gets done when he's on the cage. Just because Woodley's not easy to wrestle. I mean, Usman made it look kind of easy, and I think Burns might have taken him down once, but that's like after a long time of wearing him down and being on the fence. And I don't know, it's I'm not really a huge fan of Covington as a fighter, even obviously as a person, not. But I don't think he's quite what people make him out to be. It's kind of situational, but yeah, there's not really any reason I should pick Woodley other than like the odds of him hitting him really hard and knocking him out are higher than in previous fights, but it went from like 0.5 to like 0.8, and that's not good enough for me. So I'm going to pick Covington. Probably just a weird, stupid decision.
I mean, that 0.3% increase sounds like a ton. So, I mean, if you're looking at it another way, that's a 60% increase compared to where you started. So, I mean, that's pretty big. But, that's for fancy technical analysis and everything you just did there, breaking things down, with logic and reason. So let's take a look at the flip side of that, my style of analysis, where, this one to me was a bit of a toss up, same reason, because I think Covington can totally get hit by that shot. And I think Woodley's going to be harder to take down. I see Covington taking him down against the fence a lot, pressing him, just kind of like holding him there, and Woodley just getting deflated. And then, it turns into a classic Covington fight. I also see still going to be a lot of work. So I don't know about all that. So I'm going back and forth on this. But then, I mean, my job got very easy, not to get too political here. But so if you didn't see before, Covington and Gaethje and Ali Abdelaziz and Henry Cejudo and everybody went to a president's dinner thing. And the picture that emerged from that is everybody like smiling, giving thumbs up or whatever. And everybody's in blue suits except Colby Covington, who's in like a tan suit with blue shoes. Yeah. And so, I mean, you can't be the sore thumb out. You can't be the bridesmaid that's all dressed up at the wedding, right? Like Trump has to be the biggest star there, absolutely. Right? He's the president. So I think Trump probably took that photo, walked back to the Oval Office, picked up the red phone, called Tyron Woodley, was like, Tyron, I need you to do this for me, man. Gave him that pep talk, just got him all fired up. And I think Woodley's going to let his hands go for once because, I'm with you in that I wouldn't necessarily believe he's going to do that because he said a lot of things that he says he believes that aren't, like his rap game is up there and stuff like that, but but when it comes to that, I think he got the call from Trump. I think he's been asked to take Covington out, throwing some bombs. So I gotta go Woodley here. I gotta do it. Can't wear that suit. Can't wear a tan suit. Stick out like that, man.
I see your logic. I see it. There are a couple issues with your theory. The first is that would Woodley listen to Donald Trump? Maybe he's going to lose to spite him now because he doesn't like him. You have to consider that. I'm sure the call was made. I think that exact scenario played out, but then once he made the call, it was probably more like like, do I want to win for my career and the money and all, not getting hurt, or do I want to make Trump mad and continue to raise Colby's stock next to his? So that's one thing. Gotta think about that. The other thing is you don't know how the suit theory is going to apply. So first I thought you were saying like it's just some like bad mojo, is everyone's got matching suits except you, and like you're playing with fate there, like something's going to happen to you now. What if it's the other way, in that he protected himself by being an individual, and that because they were all conformists and didn't branch out, that now they're cursed? So I think it'll be interesting to see what happens in this fight. So let's say Colby wins, and then I would go ahead and bet my life savings on all the other guys to lose if they fight again. So Gaethje will lose, and if Cejudo fights again, he'll lose. And who else was there? I forget. Dana will lose.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I think there's going to be some effect there. So we can study between Gaethje and Colby. I think one of them's going to win and one of them's going to lose. They're not going to have the same result. That's my official prediction.
Yeah. No, I mean, you bring up some very solid points there. I personally, I think it's a coin toss, but I think Woodley is just ready to, heal the nation. I think what he saw was from the red phone and not just the regular cell phone. He was like, oh, this is serious. Like, here's this opportunity to bring everyone together by knocking out Colby, So I'm banking on that, but I could be wrong. You could be right there. That's some good counterpoint analysis. And then, the suits, individual, that part didn't really stick with me. I mean, I'm talking about being an individual over a conformist doesn't really make much sense. Like, generally, you always, if you stick with the group, you always win. So I don't know that I buy that, but I'll listen to
what God wants. It's different than, natural survival instincts. It's more about, higher truths.
Yeah. All right. So, all right. So with that in mind, we've got the main card out. We are unscheduled, but we're going against each other here for every bout. So we'll see where this goes. Any other fights you want to talk about? Any bonus ones that you're like, hey man, I got to drop this knowledge, and then I can give you my side, because I know you're dying for more insight from me and the way that I pick fights. So if you got one where you need help, let me know. I'm here for you.
Well, I liked hearing you apply, because your rationale is very chaotic. It's not really bound to anything. It's just whatever patterns you can find to stick to. So I'd be interested in Nico Price was a good example. So we got some predictions about Nico Price, who kind of embodies your style of picking fights, in my opinion. Someone else that's kind of like that, very abstract and untethered would be Kevin Holland. What do you think about Kevin Holland versus Darren Stewart?
Yeah, so this is one I did write about in my piece. I should have told you that I've already written about some of it, but I'll break it down for you, especially to give you.
Well, I can't read, so it's it's fine.
No, I forgot about that. Yeah, good call, man. Good call. Sorry, very insensitive of me. I forgot you can't read. So Kevin Holland, Darren Stewart, right? On paper, Kevin Holland's got all the strengths. Right, he's tall, lanky. Darren Stewart's last loss was in a different promotion, technically, Cage Warriors, which is amazing. That's just got to sting, So I'm drawn towards Kevin Holland, but then I go online and I start looking for pictures of Kevin Holland, and I realize the dude rarely smiles, and if he does smile, he's got his mouth guard in. He's got a couple pictures I can find with him smiling, but it was from a while ago. Like, he doesn't smile a lot. So that leads me to think that he might have, he might not have proper flossing habits. He might not be doing that. And that's going to, he's worried about his next dentist checkup because, right? Like, he's not flossing right, not brushing. That's rough. It's a painful time if you're not doing that stuff. And so I think that gives Darren Stewart a dentist in his own right. Massive psychological advantage here. I think he's in Holland's head. I think he's going to see the drill. He's going to be, hesitating. I think feints are going to work all day long on Holland, because he's just going to imagine a little drill and just be like, whoa, like, I don't know what to do. He's going to be backing up. I think this is, TKO for Stewart here, especially if Stewart can pinpoint, go look on some of those photos, pinpoint where his jaw might have been weakened. I mean, if Holland has gingivitis, it's done. It's round one, straight up. So, I mean, I'm going with Stewart here. I think it's a round one TKO, especially if he has gingivitis. It's bet the farm.
Well, that gives me a lot of confidence, because I was already kind of leaning Stewart. I enjoy Kevin Holland. I think he's super fun, and he can beat certain types of guys. But I think Stewart's like a legitimately decent striker for the weight. And Holland is sometimes that, and sometimes I'm like, what are you doing about this? And his ground game is very willing, but I don't really see him like taking a lot of people down too often, except like John Phillips, he's not an MMA fighter. Darren Stewart, I think, is actually a pretty bad matchup for him. If you watched Holland's last fight, that guy is like one of the most jacked fighters I've ever seen in my life. Is it Buckley?
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
But he was doing some good things, like level changing into his combinations, like going body first and then come up big. And Kevin Holland likes to shoulder roll and do stuff like that. But those were huge committed entries, like really giant obvious stuff. And he swung like that for like 2 rounds. I was impressed that he didn't gas sooner. But I think Holland's defense worked for those kind of shots. Like, this stuff is really wide. I can probably just have a really strong reaction to it and I'll be fine. But he leaves himself pretty out of position. So if those are more controlled combinations, I'd be more concerned. And if like you said, maybe some feinting, which is not totally something that Darren Stewart does normally, but maybe he'll learn it for this fight.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I could actually see Darren Stewart getting the better of most of their exchanges and not getting taken down. And also he actually has pretty good cardio for someone who's like a power hitter and like isn't somebody like you really think of in the division as someone really good. You'd be like, oh, if he hits hard and he's a good, decent striker, then he probably has a bad ground game. She does. And like gasses out and stuff, like can't wrestle. And like those things are kind of true. But if you watch like the Edmund Shabazian fight, Edmund gasses super hard and Darren Stewart beats the absolute life out of him and somehow doesn't finish him. But he beat him really bad. And it should have been a win for Stewart because he won the second round too and then like destroyed him in the third round. So at least a draw. But yeah, Darren Stewart's actually pretty cool. So I would like to pick him over Kevin Holland as well. So we'll agree on this one. I know he lost to Fabinski in Cage Warriors, but
yeah,
Fabinski is like a wrestler actually, and Kevin Holland is not. So that is my rationale there.
It makes sense. And I mean, he bounced back with a submission over Coconut Bomb. So
did I watch that? How did he do that? How did they end up there?
I think he, if I remember correctly, Patolo just like bum rushed him, and then like went for a takedown and
got guillotined.
Yeah, got guillotined.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
whatever. Yeah, maybe. Oh no. So now maybe if Holland wrestles him, Stewart would be like, "Ha, you trying to wrestle me? I have a really good guillotine," and he goes Dustin Poirier brain and keeps going to the ground with him because he wants to guillotine him. Like, shoot, that would really blow things for me because I think if he like grapples with Holland like willingly, he wouldn't win that. But if he can just like avoid those kind of situations and not really play into it, I don't think Holland's good enough at forcing them. And he's a striker anyway, so he'd be willing to do that. So I'm hoping that they mostly stand for the full fight, and that I think Stewart will get the better of that.
Yeah, and I mean, well, and another thing to consider too is that Patolo is significantly shorter than Holland. So because I think even Stewart, if I remember correctly, Stewart guillotining Patolo like was a little tough for him. I don't know how he would lock that up easily on Holland, who's like pretty sure a good like 5 inches taller than what Patolo.
Yeah. They say the word in the street is that Kevin Holland is 6'3". You can never trust those UFC heights. But they say that Holland is 6'3" and Stewart is 6 feet tall. But I mean, Buckley must have been like my height. I don't know how tall Patolo was, but yeah, those guys were short for the division.
Yeah. No, I think between both of our analysis, viewers should really take away that bet your entire life savings on Darren Stewart to beat Kevin Holland, right? He's the underdog here. That's a value bet. That's,
I'm 55% confident in that, but I'm feeling it.
Yeah, I mean, but 55. I mean, if we do some Scott Steiner math here, 55% of your confidence times 100 of my confidence, that equals 155%.
Yeah.
Divided by the 2/3 chance of winning at sacrifice. I think we're fine, dude. I think we're in good shape. But
as long as the math checks out, then I'm good then.
I'm pretty sure it does. Yeah, maybe if there's not a disclaimer here, I'm just gonna go and say right now. If there's not a disclaimer here that says to not take this seriously, I'm telling you right now. So to cover us from any lawsuits. All right. Well, with that in mind, that will wrap up our first shitty UFC prediction show. Ed, thank you so much for joining us. You can catch Ed's work again at the Fight Site, where he's killing it with his technical stuff. I've applied a couple times. I'm sure he's reviewing it. It's fine. And then at Bloody Elbow as well, doing the wrestling analysis. Anything else you got going on? Anything else you want to promote?
Chris Reeney's book. I think people should buy that.
Ooh, yeah.
I think they should buy it from the link on the Fight Site and then give us credit for purchase so we can get a percentage. But Chris Reeney's book, it's like he has the hard copy version, which is the price of like a really nice art book. But he also has the digital version, which I think is really cheap. So at the very least, get that. I'm gonna get the nice one. I'm gonna put it behind me so I can start to get some scenery. I have a crock pot over here. You can't see it; it's right behind me. But yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a little crock pot. Yeah.
So maybe I'll replace the the dog pee spray with with Chris's book, and I'll put it right back here. So anyone else who has a podcast and you need something to put in your background, you can put Chris's book. You can open it to whatever pages you want and have some nice UFC inspired art in the background. And I really like how he draws Jorge Masvidal. He makes Mas look really cool.
His
that's reason enough.
Yeah, his drawing. I could second that one. His drawings of Masvidal are unreal. I love it. And yeah, it's a great talk about podcast. Put it in the background. I'm gonna get the hard cover version as well. I saw him post that link. It looked great. I will do it through the fight site for the referral bonus, but I expect a cut of your referral. So sure. we'll work that out later. And yeah, no, that's a good call. I don't know that I'll put it anywhere because I got a couch and I don't have any good place to do this podcast that's not in my living room. So
gotcha.
Maybe I'll just constantly put it in front of my face at times, right? Just sell it. It's a good hard sell technique, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like guest is talking, just bring up a book slowly and just keep waving at it. I think that's polite, respectful to everybody involved. I think
if you say so.
Yeah, I think so. So, all right, we'll be back here again next week. I don't know who I'm going to get on next. Could be anybody. Maybe I'll make Ed choose. Maybe I'll bring Ed back. Maybe I'll make him come back to wallow in his losses, especially if I go 3-0 against.
Not looking forward to that, honestly.
I hate being wrong. Yeah. All right. So we're tentatively getting you back on here immediately if I 3-0 you, but we'll see. But anyway, like, subscribe, all that great stuff. Go to the fight site. Go to Bloody Elbows stuff. Check out Reedy's books. He does Bloody Elbow too, right?
Yeah.
Where is he? Yeah. Yeah. So. Perfect. Head to those 3 sites and only those 3 sites, because forget everyone else. I guess. I don't know. Do what you want. All right. Catch you next time.